Hey everyone, welcome to Memory Coach. Today, we're going to be looking at 5 common myths about memory that you probably believe. Do you think you have a good memory? How much of what you remember is actually correct? Your memory is more intricate than you might think, and it can be affected by various emotions and outside factors. There are a lot of misconceptions about how our memory works, but here are 5 of the most common ones that you may believe. No. 1. Our memory begins to slip as we age. Have you ever forgotten where you left your keys or tried to remember someone's name only to get a blank stare? Forgetting things from time to time is normal and often just a part of life. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that your memory is slipping as you get older. This common myth states that an individual's memory begins to deteriorate as they age. While there's some truth to this belief, it isn't entirely accurate. Our memory does not begin to slip simply because of our age. Instead, forgetting things as we get older is usually linked to the amount of mental stimulation that we get, along with how active and engaged we keep our minds. Our brains are always forming new connections and pathways as we learn new things. When we don't exercise our brains, these pathways can become weaker over time, leading to forgetfulness. So rather than blaming your age for your memory loss, try keeping your mind sharp with brain games, puzzles, and continuous learning. Number 2. Emotional memories last a lifetime. We all have that one friend who seems to remember every single detail of their first date in high school. It's like they never forgot a word that was said. This isn't always the case. In fact, it's quite rare. As opposed to popular belief, emotional memories aren't necessarily guaranteed to last a lifetime. They can actually be just as prone to fading as any other type of memory. Emotional memories are those that are connected to strong feelings such as fear, sadness, anger, or joy. An example of this would be remembering the details of your first date in high school. Even though this memory may feel very vivid and real to you, it can still distort and fade over time. Just because something is emotionally charged doesn't mean that it will be encoded into your long-term memory, nor does it mean that it will last forever. In fact, sometimes emotional memories can be so overwhelming that they can actually impair our ability to encode them properly. The intensity of the emotion can cause a sort of tunnel vision, blocking out extraneous details that would normally help us to remember the event later on. So while you may remember the general feeling of the event, specific details may be lost. Therefore, before you blame your bad memory, consider whether the emotion surrounding the event could have blocked certain details from being stored properly. No. 3. Memories are like video clips stored in a tape recorder. Have you ever watched a home video of yourself and noticed that you could understand your own speech? Or maybe you saw your old house and couldn't recognize it because of how different it looked. These experiences show us that memories aren't always as reliable as we think. This brings us to another myth about memory, which is that our memories are like video clips that are recorded and stored in a tape recorder. This couldn't be further from the truth. While it's true that we store our memories like files on a computer, they are much more malleable than a video clip. Every time we recall a memory, it's like opening up a file and editing it. We may add or remove details depending on what we're remembering and why. Additionally, our emotions can also play a role in how we edit our memories. If we're feeling nostalgic, we may remember events in a more positive light than they actually were. Or, if we're feeling down, we may focus on the negative aspects of a memory. Our memories aren't set in stone, so it's important to keep this in mind when recalling them. They can change and adapt over time, sometimes without us even realizing it. So, instead of thinking of your memories as perfect recordings, think of them more like stories that you tell yourself. They can be edited and changed as needed, and they can also be influenced by your current mood. Number 4. We only use 10% of our brain. There are over 100 billion neurons in your brain, and each one has the potential to form thousands of connections with other neurons. So why do you sometimes struggle to remember basic things like where you parked your car? One common myth about memory is that we only use 10% of our brain. This means that there is a huge portion of our brain that is not being used and therefore is not contributing to our forgetfulness. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. We use all of our brain, but it's not always in an easily detectable way. Different parts of our brain are active at different times, and even the parts that seem to be inactive are still working away in the background. Even if you're just sitting quietly, there are still many parts of your brain that are active, such as the brainstem and cerebellum. These parts of the brain control basic functions like breathing and movement. So while it may seem like you're only using a small portion of your brain, all of it is still working hard to keep you functioning. So instead of thinking that you only use 10% of your brain, know that every part of it has a purpose. Remembering things is a complex process that involves many different parts of the brain working together. So it's not just one part that is responsible for our memory. And finally, know 5. Multitasking improves memory. Are you a natural multitasker? Do you find yourself switching between tasks quickly and easily? This is a highly sought-after skill in today's fast-paced world, but it may not be as beneficial as you think. In fact, multitasking has been shown to have a negative effect on memory. A study published in the Journal of Multisensory Research found that multitasking can lead to memory loss and brain fog. Participants in the study were asked to perform 2 simple tasks at the same time, such as memorizing a list of words while simultaneously monitoring a second task. They found that those who were better at multitasking were more likely to forget the words. This is because multitasking requires you to constantly switch between tasks, which can interfere with your ability to encode memories. Each time you switch tasks, you're essentially giving your brain a mini vacation from the previous task. And while this may not seem like a big deal, it can actually interfere with your ability to remember what you were doing. So, while multitasking may seem like a useful skill, it may be better to focus on one task at a time if you want to improve your memory. So, how many of these myths did you already believe? Do you think your memory is slipping? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and share it with those who might benefit from it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to get notified whenever a new video is posted. The references and studies used in this video are added in the description below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.